Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things,
the podcast.
I'm Macie.
And I'm Naomi.
And we're two professional counselors who like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
This is our therapy.
Yay, welcome.
Dive in.
We're so excited. We finally got our mixer fixed and we have our headphones back and we feel like podcasters again.
It's way more podcasty when you have headphones.
The essence of a podcast are totally in the headphones. Like they just make you feel cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like hearing myself in my head.
Because then you can come in and really talk like this about them. And then you can be back here and you can pay attention.
You can have a wider range of emotion.
Yes. You may even hear the alcohol being drunk.
That was so sexy.
Thanks.
This is like day one of not having temperatures over 100.
After what, 4 days?
Yeah, we had 109 yesterday, like 111 the day before, and 107 or 8 the day before that. It's been
miserable.
Ridiculous.
Miserable.
It's been,
I hated it.
As the Weather Channel says, excessive.
It's like excessive force. It is the, what's the Derby penalty?
Egregious.
It's an egregious
level
temperature outside. Yes. Yes.
Where my friend lives in Salem, it was 117 2 days ago. And then I heard like yesterday or the day before, it was 121 in Canada.
Dang.
That's too hot.
That's too hot. I went into my car the other day and it said, it said, I love microphones. It said 120, and I was like, no, and I burnt my arm on my car. I got sunburnt after just being 10 minutes of moving things from my car. I could feel it penetrating my skin.
And I've been trying to do so good at like not running the ACs too much, not watering the lawn too much. Mm-hmm. I've been really trying. So right now we're huddled in my bedroom with a very old air conditioner.
It's going to get hot as this goes on.
But it's doing okay. Like we wouldn't be able to sit in here otherwise.
No.
And I made us special tropical rum drinks. And we're not using straws because they're bad for the world. So that's why you may hear us slurping.
No excuse slurping.
It saved the world slurping.
Yeah.
Slurping for a cause.
Now I just put a piece of ice in my mouth and then went, oh, that's going to be rude.
So this is pineapple and coconut juice.
It's very delicious.
With some Sailor Jerry's and an organic maraschino cherry.
Wow. Where'd the cherry go? I see it in the bottom.
It's hiding. It's a treasure for later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's been super hot and I haven't enjoyed it at all. I hate it.
No. And if there's a way to fix this, I'm all in. I will ride my bike to work every day if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do to make a difference. Because I feel like, I try to recycle. I don't eat a lot of meat. Like, I try not to drive a lot. But what else can I do? Tell me, somebody.
I don't know.
I want to do my part.
Yeah. Anything to make this stop at this point. I had the thought today of like, I could see like if no AC, because with ACs, I was still hitting around 88 degrees in my house yesterday, which is a lot for indoors for me. I mean, that's not.
No, it's a lot.
We're used to.
Dude, what do you see in my room right here?
The baby, not the actual baby.
A baby bed. Yeah,
yes.
Because her little AC up in her room, which is the cheapest one you can buy, it would never get below 90, and she couldn't sleep up there. So we've been having slumber parties in Nana's room.
I've been putting water out for the stray kitties in the neighborhood.
Oh.
I know. And they've all been like hanging around the backyard because they know that they can get some fresh water.
That's so nice. I've been seeing people around town doing like free water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hot. It's hot and I hate it. Miserable. I'm sweaty. Everything sweats.
No.
So I'm like, why? All of it? Everything?
And I ran out of deodorant, so I apologize ahead of time.
I have no control over my body anymore because of this, so I'm sorry.
My pits are just damp at this point.
So yeah, that's about it for the updates.
That's about it. Excessive heat wave in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, exactly. My point was going to be like, oh, someone who couldn't have AC, like is this what the South is like? Is this when people post Florida memes? Is that what this is?
Well, we don't have humidity, so it's dry heat, which I think is better. I don't like humidity.
I don't like no. This moistness is I know
That's
people
just
love the word
you.
moist.
Look,
Oh,
I'm wearing the earrings that you got me for my birthday. I love them. I wear them all the time.
they look beautiful.
I
Very
always
nice.
get compliments.
Good. All right. So,
Who goes first? I think you do.
I think I do too. Okay. Okay. I'll make this
That
happen.
might not be true, but go ahead.
Wait, what did we do last time?
We did the rabbits and the
You went
food.
first last
Yes.
time then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I have a good topic today. And
So do I.
I really hope you don't have my topic. Do you think I have your topic?
Well, mine's very topical, so
Mine's
you're very
not.
okay.
No.
Then we're good.
Mine's not that I'm
Mine's a
aware of.
topical topic.
A topical topic. A topical topic. I like that. So stay tuned in through mine to hear the topical topic. All right. I'm going to talk about Jack the Ripper.
Oh,
I know. I'm so excited because this is one that's very commonly everyone has heard Jack the Ripper. But like, do you actually know the things about Jack the Ripper?
I talk about that said they knew Jack the Ripper. Who was that? Oh, Aleister Crowley.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, remember that one?
Yeah, sorry, to fix this. Why did he say that he knew Jack the Ripper?
Because I think he did.
Oh, he just did. Got it.
Yeah, or he knew a victim. I don't remember. I have to review my notes. But there was a connection there.
Did you know that another connection, Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, was not accused, but like rumors that he was somehow involved?
Oh, that was another topic we did too.
Isn't that juicy?
Wow, right? The connections.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of like weird overlap. All right, so we're going to talk about Jack the Ripper history a little bit here. So where this happened was in the town of Whitechapel. So were actually originally known as the Whitechapel murders. Because that's where they happened. So the Whitechapel murders, there's 5 murders that are really linked with Jack the Ripper, although there could have been more. There's other murders around that time that they ruled out as being Jack the Ripper. But they're saying 5 for sure. And this first victim I'm going to talk about is actually not one of the 5, but she's the one that started this whole file that existed for the police on the Whitechapel murders. And that's what got opened, and all of these subsequent murders got put into the same file.
Got it.
Okay. So this is Emma Smith. Emma Smith was a sex worker in this city, and she kind of had an interesting background because no one really knew where she came from. So she apparently had kids and a family. Like, they knew those vague things, and for some reason she just up and left and ended up here doing sex work. They did say that her other people who knew her noted alcohol problems, and that she'd get angry when she'd drink. But so that's really the biggest background we know about her. And on the night that she was murdered, she was seen by a couple other people who she knew, talking with a man outside of the place where she was murdered. And they just kind of assumed, that was her job happening. So they let her continue that and walked on. And then one of her friends, I believe it was Margaret, came back to the place and saw her bloodied. Her ear was half cut off, right? And she was just horribly bloody in her lower half. Yes, still alive. And so Emma...
Her friend found her like that?
Yeah, so her friend had gone back to the housing and then was coming back to the area where like the pubs and stuff were, because it was really rainy that day, so the pubs were a lot more packed than usual because everyone was trying to stay inside. So she was coming back, sees her bloody and obviously wounded, convinces her to go to the hospital. which she did. On the way, pointed out where it happened, said it happened that she got jumped by like a gang of men, which
Oh.
they were kind of common in that time and would tend to pick on sex workers specifically. So that all kind of matched up. She said the youngest was a 19-year-old in the group, or she was able to kind of identify one of the people. And she ended up dying in the hospital
Oh.
from her injuries. They said that it was a horrible, grotesque act. They did label it as murder because it was found that she was a large object was penetrated her forcefully
Hmm.
and caused damage to her internal organs. So, like,
That's
horrible.
horrific.
Yeah. So this actually got a big widespread media attention, which I think kind of plays in a little bit because it's only shortly after this that the murders start.
Oh, like
Huge media
somebody may
attention.
have been inspired by this and
Potentially.
maybe
That's my own
either got
thought.
the idea or it like sparked something that was already brewing.
Just from what we know about serial killers and this type of thinking, all of a sudden there's all this notoriety about a death. They didn't find out specifically who did it. And it was newspapers all around the country. It wasn't just in the town. So then it gets put in this file that ended up being Jack the Ripper's file.
Do you think attention seeking might have been a factor in the motivation?
Potentially. One thing that you see come up through all of these murders is that when all of a sudden attention is drawn because of a murder and they up the police force, there's more eyes, it stops for a while. And it's because you can't kill somebody without being caught. So this has to be somebody aware enough of that. You know, this isn't like a mass murder, like where they're just going on impulse.
Right.
This is very premeditated.
And that ties back into our scale of evil episode.
Yes, it does. And so at the end,
so there's a certain amount of self-control.
And at the end, we get to use some of those skills to see what we think about someone who has been suspected to be Jack the Ripper.
Okay.
Because
it's still not definitively solved, right? These are still
everything I've read, it's not solved. It's not solved. There was a key piece of evidence, we'll talk about that in a bit, that was found that they used DNA tracing for. That brings them to this conclusion, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right. So a few months later, after Emma died at the London hospital, so this would have been on August 7th, 1888. The body of Martha Tabram was found in George Yard. So this was the first official Jack the Ripper death. She had been subjected to a horrendous and very violent attack. 39 frenzied stab wounds to her throat.
Oh, all in one area.
Mm-hmm. Chest and abdomen as well. And she was referred to as Martha Turner. She may or may not have been the victim of Jack the Ripper, but that's what they're suspecting. The case against her being a victim is that her throat hadn't been cut and like completely cut. She was stabbed and she had not been disemboweled. So all the 5 other victims later did have disembowelment.
Mm.
Evidence suggested she was a victim, that it could have been like testing it out, because it was prior to the standard what was done from there on out, but police really aren't sure.
So that first person that died, Emma,
they did say that that was a gang.
Okay. So how is that tied with Jack the Ripper? Just that
she created the file, and maybe the news notoriety piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And this happened just how far was it? It was only a couple months later, because that was in August, and this was in so it was only like 2 months later,
and sort of in the same area ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this all happened in the same town or city. Okay, so then we start getting a little bit further with Mary Nichols on August 31st, 1888. Another savage, brutal attack happened. This time, the killer demonstrated it's called the modus operandi of cutting her throat and disemboweling
MO.
her. So hindsight was that this was really the hallmark of Jack the Ripper. But they didn't know that at the time. And unfortunately, the earlier murders made the police mark this as gang related.
So they were looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they weren't looking for a serial killer. They were looking for a gang, a group of people, not one person.
So all the ones that are for sure attributed to Jack the Ripper had the throat cut.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Basically, that was the requirement was the throat cut. Disembowelment happened on, I believe, all of them. There was one at the end, I think, that didn't get disemboweled. I'm not sure. She's one I think that some have said is a sixth, but isn't formally in the file.
So it could have been maybe a copycat at that point?
Potentially. And there's a couple more things that probably brought copycats into play. So there was Inspector Aberline. He started taking charge because he knew about the criminal underground. So they kind of got him involved for the gang aspect to try to take lead on the case. Really respected person. Then there were some sex workers who started saying that they think they know who did it. And his name, he went by Leather Apron.
Ew.
Because he wore one. A lot.
I just think of butchers for some reason, just flashed into my head.
Right? Yeah. So unfortunately, when the press learned of the suspect, he had a supposed Hebrew appearance, according to
what the hell does that mean?
Report.
Sounds like some anti-Semitic bullshit
to me. That was literally the next thing I was going to say. It started leading to anti-Semitism in the area, and it caused a big stir. The police were trying to actually reduce the amount that this information was being spread because it was causing a lot of anti-Semitism in the area. So they did, however, shortly after this started happening, find another body on September 1888. And so again, these are happening like within months, and then they get closer.
It was
and closer
all
in
very
time.
close together.
Yes. So the body of another sex worker was discovered in the backyard on Hanbury Street, less than a mile away from the Bucks Row where the previous murder happened of Mary Nichols, just a week before. Hanbury Street victim was identified as Annie Chapman, and this time the violence had escalated. The killer removed and had taken her womb.
Oh.
Yeah.
That seems meaningful.
It does.
In a sick, twisted way.
All the red flags for like trauma and sexual abuse and all that stuff and
mother
issues. Yes. So the fact that a freshly washed leather apron was found close to her body, coupled with the press, didn't make this situation any better for the racial unrest that started to happen as all of this became present in the news and the media. Desperate to restore order, the authorities flooded the area with police officers and set into action trying to still the agitation. And then, since no murders took place for a few weeks, it appeared that the killer was done.
Just after a few weeks, they're like, oh, it's over.
Yeah. But then what happens is it's not that the killer was done. It was that it made it hard for the killer to kill somebody because there was a big police force. And then shortly after that, what happens? Yeah. They kill again.
So how many people have been killed at this point?
At this point, well, are you talking officially Jack the Ripper's?
Yes.
Okay. The official ones, this would be 2.
2, okay.
Yeah.
And then 2 before that they're not sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they arrested Leather Apron. They arrested him because they're getting...
Why the leather apron? Does that have to do with their vocation, where a leather apron is necessary?
I mean, my guess. Honestly, I didn't find anything about his leather apron in real life.
I'm really curious about this leather apron business.
I know. I mean, the way the sex workers talked about him, it was almost like it was a nickname, though. Like, not...
Well, why would you get that
I mean, he wore
nickname?
one.
Oh, he actually wore.
He wore one all the time.
But like as fashion?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Or function or both. I'm curious about this.
I know. He seems like a prime suspect, right?
I mean, he's guilty of something.
Yes.
If just a crime of fashion.
However, his alibis were like ironclad. So he was released.
Got it.
He didn't do it. Okay. Sorry for chewing my eyes. Gotta stop doing that. It's tempting because I'm hot.
It's hot.
Okay. So then...
How hot is it right now? I'm going to give you a weather report.
Give me a weather report. Sure is hot in these rhinos.
It's 95 right now, which compared to how it was like a couple of days ago, it's actually kind of cool.
I would say it's not as bad as like 2 days ago when I was laying on my couch going, I can't move.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 15 degrees cooler.
So there was a local group of people called the Mile End Vigilance Committee. So this committee formed as a way to try to improve the amount of people on the streets to prevent things like this from happening. But if you watch movies about Jack the Ripper, they're almost kind of made to be like vigilantes.
But they're not?
No, they're just like, community. It's like a
neighborhood watch.
Yeah, it's like a neighborhood watch level. So, if you watch a Jack the Ripper movie, that's been a little sensationalized.
Okay.
I mean, a lot, because they just like stood around.
They weren't out like hunting with pitchforks.
No, or like putting together clues, or like on his tail. No,
these were not internet sleuths.
No, no. So really, the aim was to supplement police numbers in the area and to help gather funds to support trying to find the killer by offering a reward. So good work. Good work.
That's effective.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, but...
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Okay, so there was a lot of question about, is he a medical man? Because the cuts were really precise.
I've heard that there was theories that it was some kind of like medical professional. Doctor. Yeah.
And then the reason why this got really stirred in the media as well is because the coroner caused some more sensationalism by saying that at the London Medical School, he had been approached by someone who would offer £20 for each womb that he could offer. So he just gave this kind of like offhand story of somebody asking him for that in the midst of this Jack the Ripper thing. And then it kind of became sensationalized that this was a medical doctor or somebody in the medical field.
So there wasn't, other than the precision of the cuts, there wasn't other evidence about that?
Yeah, and they say like precision of the cuts, but it's not like they were specific and exactly in the same places. It was just like the severity of the cuts. I mean, and they were very strategic, which to me could just be well planned, not necessarily medical. Like it wasn't stabbing, exactly it was cut.
Okay, like slicing versus stabbing.
Yes.
And did it seem like...
And it was like opening body and taking organ. So I think people, especially in that time, really associated that with, well, why would anybody do that except for if they were like a medical man gone wrong?
Okay. I mean, if it was a serial killer that follows the trifecta of cruelty to animals, they could have experimented from a childhood on cutting animals and kind of know where the parts were and have that knowledge in an unofficial way without going to medical school.
Yeah, and I wonder if those earlier, or not the first one, I do think the first one, based on everything, was a gang-related injury death. But the one right before that with the stabbing, because like she was, what was it, like 36 times in the neck area? Like, that's excessive. That's not just, I'm mad at you and I stab you. That's excessive. There's like excessiveness. And then all of a sudden it goes to happening again, but more precise. So I could see the mental thought being like, I'm going to try this. And then that's just what, like, pure emotion, never doing it before. That's what happens. And then you plan.
So why do they put that first person that was a whole group of people in the same file?
Well, she started the file. So it was just, again, this is just Whitechapel. So it was a Whitechapel murder. And then from there on out, so they thought it was gang related.
Have one file.
They had one file. They
It
had
doesn't
one
seem
file.
like a good organizational system.
They had one file for the Whitechapel murder, and then because they thought they were linked at first. They thought it was gang related for a long while. Remember, like they thought it was all connected.
Okay.
Yes, and then it started piecing out to be different.
And did they split that file at that point?
I'm just
Or
going
do
to
they
say
still
no,
keep it
because
together?
everything talks about them being together. So I don't think so.
As an office supply junkie, this distresses me a bit.
It's probably because they have no way to prove that that it wasn't. But it just, per her report, it doesn't quite fit everything that happened after. So you don't want to rule it out completely.
And perhaps one of that group was the killer of the people that followed. And that's why the MO is different.
Potentially.
Because they broke out and developed their own signature.
You should talk for a minute. I have to answer this phone call.
Okay. I'll talk.
Hello?
What should I talk about? Jesus Christ, this is difficult. All right, I'll talk about rum. So we are... Oh, it's her dad. Hi, Macie's dad. They have a really close relationship. It's really adorable. So I made our cocktails out of a dark spiced rum, which I prefer over a white rum. I like whiskey over vodka. I like dark rum over white rum. I like walks on the beach. All right, you're back.
I got your check, Dad. All right.
Do you not understand that we are podcasting right now?
That wasn't my dad. That was my dad's friend who was letting me know that he was leaving me a check for my dad.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had to answer because he was calling multiple times. I was getting worried. I was like, what is happening?
No, I get it.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Whew, my brain just wiped.
It's okay. I talked about pina coladas.
I like pina coladas. Exactly. And
a taste of champagne and a walk in the rain. That's not it.
This is like the setup for Jack the Ripper, like the walk in the rain, get a little tipsy. They did the one who got stabbed in the group gang stabbing. She did have alcohol in her system, but they said she wasn't intoxicated to the point where that was any fact. She was very within her realms of.
I just want to point out, our podcast is unedited and unscripted. You will not get this level of authenticity on other podcasts. I mean, we take phone calls.
We go to the bathroom.
I may have to get an Amazon package.
We may have to refill our drinks.
We may.
This and more.
And
join
more.
us.
This is what you get. You get all the quality.
And if you enjoy this authenticity, thank you, because you're probably a pretty cool person.
You're part of our tribe, and we want to know everything about you. So message us and tell us.
If you don't like it, we don't really care, so you don't have to listen.
Tell us if you like pina coladas and the other stuff in that song.
In the rain. I feel like it would just water down my drink.
But I really wanted to find little umbrellas, but I'm like, oh no, that seems wasteful, and they probably come from the rainforest.
Oh, I just imagine stabbing myself in the eye with it during this podcast, like trying to read things and talk and drink at the same time. It's hard. Okay, so all right, coroner causes a sensation. That's the last thing I said, right? Something like that.
Sure.
Okay. So the medical profession itself, it should be said, actually tried to disprove that allegation by noting that there's really no mention after he says that about the medical precision in anything. So in any of the reports, it's not like, ooh, a medical person had to have done this. Like it never came up again. So it's, again, just...
Why is it so prevailing? Is it from Hollywood?
It's Hollywood, it's movies, it's sensational media, all of that. Because that was hugely pushed by the media back then. I mean, if we're talking a game of telephone here, down the years, we're getting just a diluted inkling of what probably happened. Okay, so an increased police presence continues to deter the killer. So the Whitechapel police were everywhere, and that was a lot of pressure. Probably didn't want to be caught. So it appeared to deter them, and they were believing that like the murder spree ended. Until September 30th, so we're still in the same month, 1888, the Whitechapel murder returned and killed 2 women in less than an hour.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Was it pent up?
And that's my thought too. And again, why like the first vicious stabbing makes sense in my brain. Like this is someone who, if imagine how long he had been pent up prior to that, and now he had to wait a few weeks, and he killed 2. So
and could it also be? I mean, did they publicize like, "Oh, it's over, no danger anymore"? Could it have been like, "Oh, I'll show you, I'm still a danger,"
well,
and then some?
I think they were still sensationalizing things, but almost like that's the more that it's talked about, the more people are looking and watching. So once time goes by, then the double murder happens. People stop paying attention, less people are looking at the odd person waiting in the dark corner, you know, that sort of thing.
And there may have been an element of opportunity as well. Maybe there just happened to be 2 people that it seemed like
That
the killer could get away with it.
Yes, and again, these are all sex workers, every person who was killed. So targeted again. So this first victim was Elizabeth Stride. Her body was found as a man named Luis turned his pony cart into a dark yard off Burner Street at 1 a.m. Her throat had been cut, but the rest of her body had not been mutilated. This led the police to think that the killer was actually interrupted. So the guy in the pony cart came around the corner and scared him off.
Okay, and you can probably hear a pony cart coming for miles.
I just like saying a pony cart.
I just picture it click-clacking on cobblestone streets.
Yeah. I can't make that noise.
You can tell this is an olden time story because we're talking about pony carts
and cobblestones.
Well, I just added that. I don't know if that's really true.
Well, I'm sure
that's just London, in my mind.
What, they didn't have like concrete.
I'm hearing like hooves, click clack, click clack.
The little jingle bells on the ponies.
Similar,
it's a thing,
yes. Right? I don't know, but I like it.
Okay. So that's kind of what they chalked it up to. They think that he was almost caught in that moment. The second, and so this might also be a reason for the second victim. Maybe he didn't feel accomplished with that first victim. So the second victim that morning was Catherine Eddowes, who was horrifically mutilated. She had all of the injuries, the throat slitting, the womb missing of the other victims, but the killer also mutilated her face. He removed and took out her uterus and her left kidney. So escalated after the unsuccessful, per what he was trying to do, attempt and the long period of not killing.
I'd never heard about the womb removal.
Yeah.
That has to be symbolic.
Yes. And then it's interesting that like to one up it now goes uterus, another female organ, and then kidney.
Isn't the uterus and the womb the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm like,
I guess actually, yes.
May not have been paying good enough attention in anatomy.
No. You're absolutely right.
But a kidney is different.
Yes. In my mind, actually, while I was saying womb, I was picturing a baby in it, but I was like, wait, there's just not, you don't just have a womb when there's a baby. It becomes the uterus.
It's not a baby cocoon.
You don't have a uterus and then grow a womb separate. Like a balloon.
Like a baby's in there spitting silk and spinning around, like creating a cocoon.
You know what we should ask people one day is how they think that how do girls pee? That because like is it the same hole or not? Like that question baffles boys. That and where do you stick the pad when you're on your period?
And what's the difference between a skirt and a dress?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Ask that.
That's a really good question.
You would think it's obvious, and it's really not.
It's not obvious. Okay, we went on a tangent. Okay. The only clue that we have about Jack the Ripper was... Yes, I can hear your eyes. It's good. It's good. Keep going.
It's so refreshing.
It is. Okay, in the doorway nearby on Golston Street, a police constable who was patrolling found a piece of Catherine Eddowes' blood-stained apron in the doorway of an apartment block.
More aprons?
Her own apron, though.
Was aprons just
People wore aprons back
a
then.
part of people's outfits back then?
Aprons were a thing. Do we not wear enough aprons in
I only
modern
wear
day?
it like Thanksgiving and Passover when I do my big cooking effort.
I wear aprons when someone buys them for me and I want to look cute in a photo, and then I put them away.
So these are sex workers that wear aprons.
Yes.
So are they like short, sexy aprons?
Are they called
Are they
aprons?
lacy?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that was just part of the dress. Maybe they called it an apron.
Oh.
That front part, you know what I'm talking about?
Like the whole cover thing.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I just made that up, but it sounds good.
No, I think you're onto something there. It sounds believable.
Okay, good.
So it was more just part of the, like a top part of the dress rather than something you would use for cooking.
I'm not going to say that with like as a definitive, but sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you want to prove us
wrong,
we never
promised we knew anything ever.
Not at all. We just told you who we are. If you're okay with that.
I'm Naomi.
I'm Macie.
And that's all we guarantee.
Strong drink you made. It's like all alcohol on the top. Okay. Well, anyways, they find this apron and it was just kind of left there in front of this doorway, and then above the doorway on the like arch of the doorway there was written and scrawled in chalk, this is the quote, the Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. Okay, I don't even quite know what that means.
No,
I don't even know which angle that goes.
There's a lot of
I don't know if that's
negatives in that. I have to like do the math and figure out, are we
it's London speak
hating on Jews there?
I can't tell. I know, I read this many times.
Not,
and it's like I'm not
sure. They will
not
be blamed
for nothing.
For nothing.
Oh, men that will not be blamed for nothing. Not blamed.
Oh, blame.
So it almost like what I think it sounds like is like you're not, because they never arrested anybody in that whole, when it became the anti-Semitism, like it didn't go that direction for the police.
So this is an anti-Semitic statement.
I think so. I could be wrong. This was above the doorway, written in let me see here. So it was written in white chalk in the door above the doorway where her bloody apron was left.
That's really interesting.
So this person took the bloody apron, left it, and wrote in white chalk.
Were they trying to like put people off the scent?
Okay, so here's the deal though. So the police didn't want more racial unrest, so they go and they cleaned it off. So that piece of evidence for the writing was gone. After that point, they never really brought it up past that because they didn't want more social unrest.
That doesn't seem like the best police work.
They couldn't take a picture back then either, so yeah.
But somebody could have taken a sketch. That's what they did back then.
I mean, maybe they sketched it. I don't know that they didn't sketch it. They could have sketched it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure there's a sketch somewhere.
Probably. I didn't see a sketch of it, though, in all fairness.
Might be secret file. Or one file.
There's only one
in the secret file.
It's like a
file.
A pocket in the peachy.
Yes. I'm imagining one of those Flexa-files.
Like
you open it up and there's different sections. And just on the front, it just says Whitechapel. All the things.
all the things that ever occurred ever. Or ever did not occur, never.
Never, nothing.
All the nothings. Okay, so that went away. So then what happens in the wake of the press dubbed the press dubbed this the double event when the two women were killed. And what they ended up I thought you were you looking at yourself intently?
I was looking at myself to make sure.
To make sure what?
My microphone wasn't in a obscene position.
In an egregious position.
Yes.
Okay. This double event They received a letter sent to the London news agency. It was written in red ink. It was purported to have been written by the killer and boasted that the police won't fix me yet. That means catch.
Oh.
Having gloated over what they had done, supposedly, they began talking about this and called himself, signed the letter, Jack the Ripper. This is where Jack the Ripper came from. Okay.
Interesting. So they named themselves. It wasn't like the press named them.
Well, just wait. Once the police made the letter public, the name Jack the Ripper caught media attention, and that's really how this came to be now for why everyone remembers the name that way. However, this letter was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be released by the police. Police quickly deduced that it hadn't been written by the killer at all, and it was a London journalist that forged the letter, sent it in, and created the name Jack the Ripper.
What?
Yeah, so like we've been saying this name, and it was the big forgery that messed up the whole like investigation.
That is nuts.
Right? I was really interested like finding these details. I was like, what?
I wonder how the actual killer felt about being named Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm. So there was one letter, and this started sparking a bunch of fraudulent copycat letters started coming in after this point. So you could see how other people were.
Why would a journalist do that?
Well, because they wanted a name for this killer, and the police weren't finding anybody. So they wanted it to create this like.
I mean, it
we
seems
have a
like
letter.
that would be a criminal act, like
Well,
interfering with an
obviously-
investigation or something.
I'm sure something happened.
I hope so.
We hope you served your crime in 1888.
I hope justice was served, Mr.
I hope you lost your job.
But Jack the Ripper has lived on in perpetuity, so I guess good job there.
Yeah, like wow. Do you think that he would have thought like that the name he stamped on there would have gone this far?
Like that's a legacy.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll circle back to that. You're fine. Okay. You're fine. Okay, so the next thing that happened was they actually did end up getting another letter that was famously addressed from hell. This letter was the one that police actually thought might have been from Jack the Ripper. It contained half a kidney, which according to the letter's writer said he took from one victim.
It was a care package.
Mm-hmm. Despite all this press speculation, though, because they thought it was maybe from Catherine Eddowes, the consensus amongst police and doctors was that it was a prank perpetrated by a medical student, but that one did get the most attention from the police at the time.
Why are so many people fucking with this case and the police?
Attention? I mean, like, what else do you do in 1888?
I don't know.
If it was hot there, I get it. Like, you're bored.
I mean, I would probably not think to mail a kidney to the police and pretend I was a serial killer.
Probably not, but some like prankster college boys. I don't know. Is that a thing people do? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I wasn't part of it.
Where did the kidney come from?
Was it a fraternity?
Was it a hazing?
Fraternity of med students? Is that a thing? I have no idea.
I think they have those.
Is it called a maternity? Oh, for medical maternity. All right. So all that happened,
but who's missing a kidney for reals?
Right. The dead body that they took it from. So that's my thought, is that they're probably right that it's fake, because I'm sure they could, like, if they were going to rule it out, they could probably... Like it was
a cadaver they had available.
Because they can tell, like, oh, this was taken post-mortem.
Okay.
By, like, the blood and what it looks like compared to one that was taken...
Fresh.
Yeah. When someone died while alive. Wait, died while alive? Wait.
No, that's exactly it. You die while you're alive.
Well, that's terrifying. I didn't even like saying those words.
Well, that's how it works.
Dying while alive.
You don't die while you're dead.
Wow, that's so true.
So true.
Wow. My mind has been blown. You're welcome, everyone else that just had their minds blown. Okay, so they get this period again of no new murders after this. It went kind of quiet. They got into November, people again, killing sprees over. Then there was the murder of Mary Kelly. The relief was premature. On the 9th of November, 18, I keep saying I was born in 1988, so when I see 1888, it's hard for my brain. 1888, the body of Mary Kelly was found in her room at 13 Miller's Court off Dorset Street. Her body had been virtually skinned down to the bone.
What?
It was so extensive and horrific. The mutilations that her live-in lover, Joseph Barnett, was only able to identify her by her eyes and ears.
So this is now a
horrifying,
really different level of graphic.
So, and if we think about it, the media has amped up more attention. Now there's a name he did not pick, or he or she, or they, or y'all did not pick. And attention going to all these other places, and now there's an even worse murder.
It does seem like it's tied in with the media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even back then.
Without
Instagram.
Even without Instagram. So on the 20th of December, Rose Millett was also found dead, but unmutilated in Clark's yard. Although newspapers were full of speculation if it was actually Jack the Ripper or not, the police and doctors concluded that her death had been an accident. However, the coroner and the jury after that point disagreed and said it was, and then they labeled it murder by person or person unknown. So they originally thought accident. Well, they thought Jack the Ripper, and then went, nope, it was an accident, and then went, nope, murder by person unknown.
What was the cause of death?
So unmutilated. So my guess is they actually didn't give detail about that. I'm not sure. They just said unmutilated, but they described the mutilations as the organ removal, that part. But they don't consider the
were they strangled or were they just laying there dead and they never figured out how they died?
Well, they didn't say she died of strangulation. They originally called it an accident, and I don't know what
does that mean. You trip and you fall on a rake.
I mean, and to have it switch back to murder, obviously. I mean, do they think she tripped and fell on scissors? Like what? Yeah, there. And I didn't find more about that. I'm sure there might be out there, but. Okay, then we have Alice Mackenzie's murder, which then starts making people. So these ones aren't included in the 5 that we already. These are like the ones in between that people were like.
So they're not sure if it's attributed to the same person or not.
Yes, but all this is still July 7th. We're now July 17th, 1889, so it's still within that frame. The body of Alice Mackenzie was found in Castle Alley off Whitechapel High Street. There were 2 stab wounds to her throat and a long, though not really deep one that went from her left breast to her belly button. And there were shallow wounds and scratches on her lower abdomen. So consensus among the police at the time said that they don't think she was a victim of Jack the Ripper.
Just because the MO is totally different.
Yes. Even though, like, again, we've seen people who, when almost caught, the Ripper stopped and left. Mm-hmm. So it could have been a scenario like that. I mean, the scratching at the womb area seems odd to me.
So it's scratching like with fingernails?
Like with finger. Yeah. I mean, it says that there were shallow wounds and scratches to her lower abdomen.
Interesting.
So to me, I mean, that does follow suit just in a more like
primal way.
Yeah.
Did he lose his knife? Perhaps.
I mean, he sliced her down, or maybe it was just more. Maybe this is more, not about leaving the body in a certain way, but about him expressing himself during those things, and that if that did it for him,
it almost seems regressive.
Yeah, because it got worse and worse and worse, and now it's it almost. Okay, so Then on September 1889, the mutilated torso of an unidentified woman was found under a railway arch in Pynchon Street. This was a little away from like the commercial area, but it was also pretty near where Elizabeth Stride had been found.
Did your phone just
My
die?
phone just died. It's okay. It's okay. I can do this. So they that was one that they had also weren't sure if it was Jack the Ripper or not, but it kind of left this final mark of was it or wasn't it. And that's Jack the Ripper murders. Who done
they
it?
think done it?
Okay, so they did DNA testing on that shawl, that same shawl that we talked about. Okay. Or sorry, apron. The apron.
Apron, yes, the aprons.
Oh, no, it was a shawl. It was a shawl on one of the victims that they still had. And they did a lab, did DNA testing, and they did find DNA evidence. None of this was actually formally put into police records, though, so keep that in mind. So this group said that there was DNA evidence that they could trace to current family members who would have been related to this man, I believe Aaron, since I don't have his name in front of me now, who was a young Polish man who moved from Poland to London and was a barber.
Oh.
And he was one of the suspects that back then.
Like Sweeney Todd?
So he was one of the actual suspects.
Barber of Fleet Street?
Yeah. And he was pretty young, in his like low 20s, I believe, or mid, somewhere right around there. So they say, okay, we found this. It links to these real people who genetically down the line, their ancestor was a suspect. Ta-da, we solved it. That was in 2019.
Holy
that this
shit.
All happened, not that long ago.
A barber would have sharp utensils.
Yes. Okay, so here's where things get a little shady, and probably why it's not in police evidence, actually, is because, first of all, the shawl that they had, it was originally given from the police back to the family, and this man who wanted to do research on it, who wanted to do the genetic testing, saw it for sale at the family auction and bought it. So there was a period of time where it has been out and about.
Interesting.
Like, it's no longer in a isolated, like, untouched state from the murder. So it's been around. And a bunch of researchers and geneticists looked at the study, and there were so many, like, almost like mad at this group of people who did the research, and like, this paper is unpublishable, this isn't even peer reviewed. They just tore it apart and said that there was no way that this could be viewed as credible, or so there was.
Why were people so mad?
Well, I think it's because it makes DNA testing and like the people who actually do this job, it like puts it in question of like, oh, you can just do that and then have a paper that actually doesn't, like, there's missing data in it. There's like claims that aren't actually attached to like hypotheses in the paper. Like, there's a lot that just, if you're a researcher, doesn't make sense, but it makes some very big claims. Like, okay, now here's this family currently living that has to deal with people in the public thinking that they're related to Jack the Ripper. Right?
Right.
So, like, there's some actual implications that came from this.
Some people would like that, I think.
Maybe, yeah. So, it's everything that I saw. It was like most geneticists, most people who study DNA would say that there's no way that this DNA could ever be deemed credible. And there's so many errors that could have happened along the way that,
absolutely,
could he have been a suspect? Sure. And he was at one point. Is some of his DNA on there? I mean, even maybe, probably. But is that enough to say that person,
somebody.
To convict somebody, and then put this, years and years and years and years of blame on a family when you don't actually know?
Because who else is DNA was on
And
there.
he's not there to stand trial either. So it's just this, again, media fueled thing now of we know who the killer is. We know who the killer is. We don't actually know who the killer is.
Well, people rarely read behind headlines.
It's true.
So who do you think done it?
So real quick before that though. So this guy, this young guy, the question was, do we really think that he had the precision, the thoughtfulness, the that type of personality to do this? What I read kind of cast a doubt that like the personality of what people knew of him, he didn't fit that persona.
One of those most evil types.
Yeah.
Where it's very calculated and organized.
But as we know, serial killers, the really the charismatic ones are the ones that sneak under the radar. So I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know. I'm always a fan for some evidence, but I'm also I would be the person like livid if I saw that, or would be like, what is this?
This is not proof.
Yeah.
This is not science.
How do you have missing information and then make a claim? Like, you can't do that.
No, it's too big a leap.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's kind of cool that they linked something potentially, but I don't think it's a proof of anything.
And we still don't know why he was called Leather Apron.
The dude could have just slept with her or been a friend, or, like, I don't know, like you and I are friends. And if, 200 years later, someone's like, oh, who murdered Macie? And they find your DNA on, I don't know, something.
Yeah. And
does that mean you did it?
And then my family will be mad at me for leaving my DNA and not being more careful.
Forever. Mm-hmm.
Be like, come on, Mom. You know how to clean up a crime scene better than that.
You've watched videos. All right, that's my topic. There you go. Still unsolved.
I mean, it's such a, like everybody's heard of Jack the Ripper, but you don't really know the details, or most people don't. I didn't. And I've probably seen lots of movies. Was there a Johnny Depp movie?
I think you're thinking about the singing,
Demon Barber,
the singing one. Yeah, the singing one we watched for our other podcast.
Johnny Depp is in every movie.
Yes, every.
Can you see my laptop?
No,
I don't want peeking at my topic. Are you enjoying your tropical
I am. I'm
rum
excited because I can drink it more now that I'm not talking.
Mine's almost gone.
Yeah, we ran out of storage space. That's why this stopped recording. Just so you know.
Can you start it again?
I'm working on it. You start on your topic.
Okay. This is very topical. On June 25th, today's July 1st, so
recent.
Very recent.
Very recent.
The government,
if you're from London,
finally released the long-anticipated, long-awaited UFO report.
Oh, you've been waiting for this. I mean, I've been waiting for this.
We've all been waiting for this. So, UFO is a passé term.
So passé.
Now they're called UAPs.
Unidentified
Aerial Phenomenon. Sorry. What were you going to say?
Nothing.
What were you going to say?
Nothing.
Unidentified ass poo? That's just what popped into my head.
Wait, what is the letters?
UAP.
Oh, I didn't miss the A.
What are you going to say?
I was thinking of that the spy who shagged me with the rockets with the peniles. Have you know what I'm talking about?
Austin Powers?
Yes. And when the have you not seen Austin Powers?
I have not seen it for a long, long time.
And they're like, "What is that?" Oh, it said, "Hi, Johnson, how are you?" And they do the penis jokes with the rockets.
So an unidentified aerial penis?
Yes. All right.
Well, whatever UAP means to you, it's all good. So I've been waiting for this for like 6 months, and they had to release it by the end of June. So pretty much down to the wire, June 25th. So I will read some of this report. It's only a 9-page report, which I thought this was going to be pages and pages and pages
Yeah,
of
like
stuff.
9 pages.
And I thought it was going to
You
be like,
cannot tell me that they did not trim that down.
no, and I thought it was going to be like really hard to understand. So part of me thinks this was crafted
They
for
made
the
it for you.
public.
They made it for you.
Well, they made it for,
Yeah.
the public and not
Yeah.
necessarily, for other government entities that requested this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems oversimplified to me.
Yeah.
Like this should be,
I don't know. Read it to me.
350 pages long. And
you were expecting 300. You were expecting
very hard to understand.
At least a month of late nights.
There should be a lot of codes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of coding. A lot of like.
A lot of things I don't know
reading
what it
it
means.
like 5 times.
Yeah.
Sentence.
And there was only a few terms I had to look up, and they were pretty easy ones. Okay. So this is called the Preliminary Assessment Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, released by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
Wow.
And so it starts off, unidentified aerial phenomena. Airborne objects not immediately identifiable. The acronym UAP represents the broadest category of airborne objects reviewed for analysis. This preliminary report is provided by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in response to the provision in Senate Report 116-233 accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. Oh my God, you're making a lot of dinging over there.
You're the only one that can hear it, so don't worry.
In consultation.
I have to delete things on my drive to make room for your face on a recording.
I want my face on there. So the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed by UAPs and the progress the Department of Defense UAP task force has made in understanding the threat.
Well, and they're going to say threat none and progress none.
No.
Oh, good. Okay. Tell me otherwise.
Listen
Tell
up.
me more.
Listen up. The dataset described in this report is currently limited primarily to U.S. government reporting of incidents occurring from November 2004 to March 2021. So just recent stuff. It doesn't really go back to stuff that happened, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, etc.
When shit was really crazy.
Yeah, because you did that Barney and Betty Rubble one.
Yeah.
No, that's not their name.
It's not.
I'm sorry. That's the Flintstones. But was it Barney and Betty?
It was Barney.
But not.
Was it Barney?
I feel like
now you're making me doubt everything. I don't know.
Betty was in
Betty.
there.
I'm sure Betty
I'm
was.
sorry, Barney and Betty.
I do kind of feel like his name was Barney, though. I like it.
But their last name is definitely not Rubble.
Sorry, I was spit on you. No, it's not Rubble.
Okay. So here's some assumptions that they lay out. Various forms of sensors that register UAP generally operate correctly and capture enough real data to allow initial assessments, but some UAP may be attributable to sensor anomalies. So they're saying that the sensors are working and what they capture, like we can use that and analyze it, but maybe a sensor was malfunctioning here and there, or like picking up something due to the way the sensor was designed. Another assumption, the limited amount of high quality reporting on UAP hampers our ability to hamsters our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent. So because the reporting lacked sufficient specificity, ultimately this means that the reporting process needs to be refined, because what's being studied is stuff picked up by sensors that are not designed. Like, we're not out there looking for UAPs as a government.
But I thought they were.
No, so these are all sensors that are designed for other purposes, like on jets or things.
Oh, okay. So basically they're saying we didn't I mean,
They're saying that the sensors are picking up stuff, but they're not
but how can
designed to capture UAPs.
yeah,
They're designed to capture
but how
whatever
can
else.
you design something that we don't know exists?
Well, we
So
do
of
know
course, but
exists.
well, no, but like we don't have something that we know can measure it.
No, so this is next steps.
Okay.
That is next steps is actually designing.
Oh, so, but how do you do that?
Well, those things are fast as fuck, so you need something that it's going to
Or is
be.
that their thing? Like they're saying like it's too quick, it's too whatever. Like they like what? Why can't our stuff now pick it up well enough? I got a pretty good camera phone.
Well, it's just not designed for that. For example, if there's a sensor that's just facing one direction on a plane and the thing goes zipping around you, zippity zip, it's not going to be able to track it. It's just not designed for those purposes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what that ends up looking like once they
It's like
make something.
You know how we're filmed all the time out there and there's always some grainy fucking video?
I feel like those are always the made up ones because that's when the UFOs show up. I don't know.
Not a believer.
I get pretty good video even in my worst videos on my phone. So when I see something grainy from someone's cell phone, like give me a break.
Well, these are filmed from like Navy jets and stuff.
Oh, you mean people with the most money?
But the sensors are not designed to pick up UAPs. They're
I hear you.
They're picturing up them in happenstance. Is part of the problem of this.
Yes.
So they're saying the sensors are reliable enough that we can look at it and say, yes, there's a thing there, but it's not high enough quality, and that's part of the problem with drawing conclusions.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like Jack the Ripper.
It's not high quality reporting.
Of assumptions based on things that
so they're just trying to like put the lay of the land here in prefacing the information in this report.
Okay.
So as a result of lack of high quality reporting, the UAP task force concentrated its review on reports that occurred, like I said, between 2004 and 2021, just this year. The majority of which are a result of a new tailored process to better capture UAP events through formalized reporting. So that's new.
Okay.
Because there wasn't formalized reporting. It would just be like somebody saying, maybe over the water cooler that they saw some freaky shit.
Saw some freaky shit this morning.
Most of the UAP reportedly probably do represent physical objects, given that a majority of UAP were registered across multiple sensors to include radar, infrared, electro-optical, weapon seekers, and visual observation. So it's cross-checked, basically. It's not just one type of sensor. The phenomenon are being picked up in different ways. In a limited number of incidents, UAP reportedly appear to exhibit unusual flight characteristics. These observations could be the result of sensor errors, spoofing, or observer misperception and require additional rigorous analysis.
Okay.
So there are probably multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations based on the range of appearances and behaviors described. So that's saying that they have seen unusual flight characteristics. They've seen things that
they're not denying that we can't describe.
Aren't familiar with, that we don't know the technology
and they need
about.
more.
It's not how our ships fly.
Yeah, they need more analysis. They're not saying, oh, that's our government plane.
No, absolutely not. Our analysis of the data supports the construct that if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they will fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories. So here are the 5 potential explanatory categories. 1, airborne clutter.
Oh, okay.
So
like just a bunch of shit up there.
Just a bunch of shit in the air. Because there is.
Yeah, I mean, there is. And yeah, there's a lot up there.
Category 2, natural atmospheric phenomenon.
Phenomena.
Well, they say phenomena. So that's something just naturally happening
Just
there
yeah,
in
like
the
a
atmosphere.
yeah, like a glimmer of light off of a reflection of a something.
Like a crystal rainbow thing that sometimes happens.
Yeah. Black hole.
Number 3, U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs.
Wait, say that one again. Sorry.
U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs.
Okay.
So this is something that we're working on that is being spotted.
It was our thing. You saw it.
Next, foreign adversary systems. So this is not us, but
Cold War
of Earth,
stats.
terrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Still
the
not,
last category.
Still not great to see above you.
The last category, this is my category, the other bin.
Wait, they actually have an other category?
Yeah, other.
Of course they'd put you in another category.
So I've been another my whole life. I'm used to it by this point. But that's the exciting category. That's like, okay, we don't know what this is. Could be extraterrestrial. We don't know.
So is this one just literally classified?
Other. So they do acknowledge in this report that UAP clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. Safety concerns primarily center on aviators contending with an increasingly cluttered air domain.
Well, okay. You can't,
We need to clean up our air domain.
Have our planes and clutter.
UAP would also represent a national security challenge if there are foreign adversary collection platforms or provide evidence a potential adversary has developed either a breakthrough or disruptive technology. So the first threat is just because there's a bunch of shit in the air. So where this leaves us is knowing that...
It's so weird how I magically have a full glass again.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
it's like a time lapse.
I think you have ghosts.
No, we definitely have ghosts. So there's limited data, and that leaves most of these UAPs unexplained. There's also inconsistency in reporting. So limited data and inconsistency in reporting are challenges. So until March of 2019, the Navy no U.S. government entity had a reporting mechanism, but the Navy established one in March of 2019.
That's because the Navy's the best. Hi, Chris. I hope you're having fun over there. She'll listen to this.
And then the Air Force adopted that same mechanism.
Only second, though, right?
Second.
To the Navy, right?
In November 2020. Okay. But really, there's still limits to reporting. The UAP task force, would regularly hear about like these stories, those anecdotal stories, those water cooler type stories. During its research about other observations that had occurred, but which were not captured in a formal way or informal way. So somebody like, yeah, I saw this crazy thing, but there wasn't like a formal mechanism,
which I could see happening quite a lot, right? Like, because if it's so impromptu, people aren't prepared to film it.
Well, I think those sensors on the planes are just going automatically.
Yeah.
But, if you don't visually see something, you might not think to like turn over whatever your sensor captured, your recordings or whatever.
I've seen things in the sky and I've never recorded them.
Well, when I saw that UAP, when I was driving to WSU, I wanted to like get my camera, but I felt like if I took my eyes off it, it was going to disappear. And so I watched it for a while, and then I was slowly like reaching with my hand for my camera.
Like you were going to spook it?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to spook it. And then as soon as I had my hand on my camera, it disappeared.
What? What?
Mm-hmm. I think that they know when they're being watched.
How can, if they're so far up there, there's so many people, how can they just know that you're slowly arm reaching for your
advanced
cell phone? I know, but why do they
us.
care about you one of many grabbing an inanimate object?
Because I was locked onto it. My eyes, like, I was able to
So
watch
they're
it
up there in the,
while I was
in the
driving for several
spacecraft.
blocks, and then the second
So
I was going to capture it,
they're
it was
in
gone.
the spacecraft and they're locked eyes with you right now. They're like, don't move. They're doing the same thing.
Well, I think it's a mental thing.
They're doing the same thing. They're like, don't move. We're locked in.
Yes.
And then the second you looked away, they were like, gone.
Yeah, exactly. They put on their cloaking or whatever. Or they just traveled fast somewhere else. I don't know. It was just like gone. It was there for a long time. I watched it for several blocks because the speed in Colfax is like 20.
I'm disappointed that both through wizards and UFOs, UAPs, I have not been able to have my own cloaking device or a hoverboard, but that's unrelated.
Well, when asked what superpower I would like to have, it's usually invisibility. What do you choose?
Probably that.
Because I like to stare at people, but
I don't want to know.
It's problematic when they see you staring at them.
Yeah, I do too. I like want to observe, but my anxiety is really high, so that it just clashes sometimes. But I wouldn't want to know what people think. It's more of like ruling out what I don't want. Like, I don't want to hear what other people think. I did originally. No. I've answered this by the counselors. God, no.
I just want to know what you tell me.
I don't need to know. We had a conversation earlier about this. What did you say? That beautiful quote you gave me?
I said there's a reason we can't read each other's thoughts.
Yeah. So true.
It would be detrimental to everything we know and cherish.
Right. And like, you should be allowed to have that brain space.
Yeah.
But these aliens are treading upon your brain space.
Yes, because I just think
violations.
It's so beyond anything that we can comprehend with our little human minds and our limited capacity to perceive
most things. And most people don't perceive most things.
No, we can only see a little bit.
I used to say flying, like I would like to fly. However, I know people like to shoot down bald eagles. I would get shot down in a heartbeat. And there's now space clutter that I've learned about today.
There's so much space clutter.
That's a future topic.
You'd get knocked in the head with space clutter.
Yeah,
I mean, knocked the fuck out while you're flying around.
I'm gonna be like shot by jets and like fighter planes and unidentified flying Macie.
You'd be knocked out by an Amazon drone delivering a package.
Just pegs me in the eye.
And then where would you be?
Yeah, I mean, it actually probably isn't as fun logistically as I think it would be. What like laser eyes? That would be cool. I could
like as if I could a weapon, have, like weaponized eyes.
Yeah, like if I could have the cool sunglasses that I keep on to protect people from myself,
like Geordie eyes.
Yeah, and then like you pull them off and like red beams come out. I could do some of that.
Huh.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe that with invisibility, and all you see is two red rays of death coming at you.
Mind control would be cool too.
It's like too much responsibility.
But you could like undo it then.
What do you mean? Oh, you don't have to like.
Well, like if you're like, that was a bad idea, then you could just undo it because you'd have ultimate mind control.
Well, but you can't undo something that's happened.
Why not?
Well, because that's like being a god.
I was just watching Rick and Morty last night.
I love Rick and Morty.
It was the episode where he had like the undo button where it went back.
Yeah.
And then it broke and he was just stuck in his fucked life.
Yeah.
After going through this like epic, it was like based off the Andes crash of the Uruguayan rugby players, like went through this whole thing and then the thing like, broke in the end because his dad thought it was a remote for the TV. So yeah, an undo button until your undo button breaks.
I think
from misuse.
I like how he treats the sister, and on one like he had to save her life in one episode because that was like the most logical like time span to be on, not because he wanted to save her. And she's like, "You do love me." He's like, "Yeah, sure. That's why this happened." Okay, I don't know.
We digress.
I don't know. It's fine.
Back to UAPs. Unidentified aerial penises,
Peniles.
peniles.
If you can't tell me it's not, then it might be.
Well, they have all different shapes, these UAPs.
Maybe Jack the Ripper
Some are more phallic than others.
is a aerial penile ray of death.
Could be.
With precision. See? Precision and rays. Those are commonalities, which means it's probably true.
Probably. So,
sorry.
Taking in all this information, the task force focused on reports that involved UAP that were witnessed firsthand by military aviators and that were collected from systems that we consider to be reliable, with the majority coming in the last 2 years as this new reporting mechanism that the Navy came up with became better known to the military aviation community.
Thanks, Navy.
And then this next sentence pissed me off a bit.
Ooh, saltiness. Bring it.
It says, we were able to identify one reported UAP with high confidence. In that case, we identified the object as a large deflating balloon.
Oh, was
that
it Barney?
Pissed me off.
Was it Barney?
It was definitely Barney. They didn't name it. They didn't say what color it was, but I'm sure it was purple.
A big flying disappointment sack.
Why do they always have to bring in the balloon theory? Like, I feel like that
are balloons a theory? I didn't know this.
Well, I mean, historically back in the day, that was the government's explanation for everything. That was always a weather balloon. Always a weather balloon.
What is a weather balloon?
I don't even know, to be honest.
I've heard it, but I don't think it. I mean, I get the gist. I get the idea from the words. It's kind of like Jack the Ripper. Like I know the words.
You sent a weather person would send it up in the air to check the weather.
Like there's little
like it would have like a little thermometer on there, maybe like a weather vane. Yeah, it would be measuring like some
stuff,
how much ice crystals are in the air.
I feel like there's a world of weather balloons I haven't yet dived into.
But it just I mean that explanation was given so many times to
it's a weather balloon.
Discount.
What does a weather balloon look like?
And make foolish people that saw UFOs back in the day.
Have you been made foolish?
I've been made foolish so many times. I've been made the fool. So just to see that in here, I'm like, really, we're back at the balloons. The one thing that they could report with high confidence
back to the effing balloon
was a large deflating balloon. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
What does a weather balloon look like? Will you look one up real quick right now?
It looks like, well, I've seen them before. It looks like,
was it an alien?
Like a big Jiffy Pop container.
What's a Jiffy Pop? Oh, like that
foil kind of thing.
You mean it kind of looks like a UFO?
It looks a lot like a flying saucer.
It's like
that's what it looks like.
Okay. So they might be onto something, but okay. Sorry to make.
So the others, though, other than this one large deflating balloon that was positively identified with high confidence, the others remain unexplained. So 144 reports originated from U.S. government sources. Of these, 80 of them involved observation with multiple sensors. So you have that cross-checking.
Which is important. We believe in multi-tool assessments.
Yes. And most reports described UAP as objects that interrupted pre-planned training or other military activity. So that's interesting. You're out there doing some kind of flight exercise or mission, and then these UAPs are all up in your bees snatch. Yeah. So this is my favorite part of this whole report. This report acknowledges that one of the challenges to collecting UAP data and reports is that socio-cultural stigmas remain obstacles. So Also sensor limitations. But the stigma,
I like how you say that much quicker at the end.
I mean, that's true. I mean,
Yes.
say you're
I'm full
a
of stigma.
fighter pilot in the military and you saw something and you're in this very serious job where,
You don't want to go and tell
you're
people
mentally
that. Yeah.
screened out for anything,
Do we do that? Do we do that as
unstable.
counselors?
Do we mentally screen out people?
No. Do we?
For
Are you hearing noises?
yes,
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Me neither. Okay. But do we like for fear of stigma towards ourselves in our profession? Do we have a fear about being perceived as having mental health issues?
Oh, I would say for sure.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, what is that noise?
I don't know. I thought it was thunder at first.
It's definitely not thunder. We are in a drought, sister.
Oh, is your skate ramp going?
Oh, maybe
It sounds
it's
like
Asher on the half
I
pipe.
think I hear wheels. Yeah.
Okay, it might be Asher on the half pipe.
This lady's got a half pipe in her backyard. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty dope. I'm the cool mom. So socio-cultural stigma and sensor limitations remain obstacles. So I thought that was great that this report acknowledges that stigma and is looking to overcome it. So narratives from aviators in the operational community and analysts from the military describe disparagement associated with observing UAP, reporting it, or attempting to discuss it with colleagues. Although the effects of these stigmas have lessened as senior members of the scientific, policy, military, and intelligence communities engage on the topic seriously in public, reputational risk may keep many observers silent, complicating scientific pursuit of the topic. So I thought that was really cool that they acknowledge that.
Well, and I think too because for me, like I'm a doubter of people. I'm actually not a doubter of extraterrestrial beings. I think that that's honestly probably does exist. I just don't believe people about it.
So
that's all.
A lot of people may have seen things in the military and not come forward. And so we have limited data set here. And then the sensor limitations. These sensors, like I mentioned before, are not designed for tracking and
if they can read our minds, we need more sophisticated
tracking UAPs. Yeah. They were designed for specific mission fulfillment.
Do we have mind reading trackers?
We
don't even know what that looks like.
We don't even know what that looks like.
We don't even know.
But I'm going to get into something interesting with that here in a second. So sensor vantage points and the number of sensors currently observing an object play substantial roles in distinguishing UAP from known objects and determining whether a UAP demonstrates breakthrough aerospace capabilities. So it's important that we have sensors that can measure and look at and detect what we're looking for, which we don't right now. So optical sensors that we have can provide some insight about relative size, shape, and structure. And radio frequency sensors can provide information about velocity and range information.
Okay.
So patterns do emerge, however. So even though the data set is limited for detailed trend analysis or pattern analysis, there was some clustering.
I love a good cluster.
So clusters about shape, size, and particularly propulsion.
Ooh, gotta get in, get out.
UAP sightings also tended to... Is that going back to the penile?
I mean, I didn't go there actually, but you did.
I live in the gutter 100% of the time. UAP sightings also tended to cluster around U.S. training and testing grounds, but they're saying that might be collection bias because that's where the military people are with
Mm-hmm.
these sensors.
Yeah.
And so, it could be just happening everywhere else just as commonly, but we're not detecting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Less people are looking at the sky
Yeah, and having
on the reg.
some limited sensors.
Yes.
So, a handful of UAP do appear to demonstrate advanced technology. So this is acknowledged in this report. Very, very exciting.
Say that one more time.
A handful of UAP appear to demonstrate advanced technology.
Advanced technology, people.
This is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
There's advanced technology.
In 18 incidents, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics, such as some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft. That's what I saw. It was just sitting there in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Move against the wind.
So therefore not a weather balloon. Balloons float.
Not a goddamn weather balloon. Enough already with the tired balloon explanation. They might maneuver abruptly.
Like, oh, I've seen that where like all of a sudden quickly changes direction.
Yeah, zip,
like,
zip,
what?
zap.
Ow.
Did you just hit your face on the microphone?
Yes.
Or move at considerable speed. Or move without any discernible means of propulsion. So what's moving? Like our jets, you can see they have engines. They have the fire stuff coming out. Like you can see what's propelling it.
Or hear it.
Or hear it. In a small number of cases, military aircraft systems processed radio frequency energy associated with UAP sightings. And the UAP task force holds a small amount of data that appear to show UAP demonstrating acceleration or a degree of signature management, which I had to look this up. This means detection prevention.
What?
Yep. So they were doing certain things to not be prevented. Like they were able to discern that.
And I could see the doubters being like, okay, well, potentially this is like other countries with things that we don't know about. And so they're cloaking things. Or these are aliens.
Or yeah.
Those are really the only two options
Extraterrestrial.
in that. And I mean, for the government to say that is pretty bold.
Yes, this is bold.
And this is the this is best behavior. And this is them saying the least that they can.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're conducting further analysis to determine the nature of these breakthrough technologies that they witnessed. So again, there's those 5 categories. I'll repeat them again. Airborne clutter.
Too many penals.
A bunch of trash out there floating around.
Trashy penals.
Natural atmospheric phenomenon. So that's something that just
naturally occurring penals.
Partly happens in the nature.
It happens in the nature.
U.S. government or industry developmental programs. So that's us.
Government penals.
Or foreign adversary system. So another country, but still on Earth doing something.
Foreign penals.
That, I like how they call it adversary, though. It's like everybody who's not us is an enemy. They're just assuming that.
Yeah. If you're up there and we don't know about you, you're doing something wrong.
And then there's the catch-all other bin.
Which is your bin.
That's my bin. Mm-hmm. So, with the exception of one instance where they determined that it was a deflating balloon, they currently lack sufficient information to attribute incidents to specific explanations. So, airborne clutter could be birds, balloons, recreational unmanned aerial vehicles, and airborne debris like plastic bags or something.
Those don't typically have lights on them, right?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Natural atmospheric phenomenon that could be ice crystals, moisture. and thermal fluctuations that may register on some infrared and radar systems. And then we have our stuff, U.S. government or industry developmental programs. So they're saying that could be stuff about classified programs in our U.S. entities. But this is it right here.
Right here.
We were unable to confirm, however, that these systems accounted for any of the UAP reports we collected.
What?
So it's not us. I mean, this is the government. You'd think
Yeah.
they'd be able to just be like,
They would know their stuff.
hey, Bob, did you happen to be flying some kind of new technology around yesterday? We kind of caught sight of something on our sensor.
They know all of that. So it obviously wasn't the government.
But they're admitting it here.
Yeah.
Like, this is in
wasn't
writing.
Us.
It wasn't us. They
Hashtag not us.
Not us. So, foreign adversary systems. Some UAP may be technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or a non-governmental entity, which I'm not sure what that means.
Okay. Like a hacker group?
Maybe. And then we have other. My favorite category. Although most of the UAP described in our data set probably remain unidentified due to limited data or challenges to collection processing, or we may need more knowledge or to be able to analyze and characterize them, we would group such objects in this category pending scientific advances that allow us to better understand them. The UAP task force intends to focus additional analysis on the small number of cases where a UAP appeared to display unusual flight characteristics or signature management.
Wow.
So that's the part. That's the part where
they're kind of saying
it's probably extraterrestrial. I mean, they're not saying that, but they're definitely like, here is something we do not understand and we cannot say.
This is the other category.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Where it comes from.
Okay.
So that's the exciting category.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the unusual flight characteristics that they pointed out, like that no means of propulsion,
like triangle,
hanging
rotating
there aloft
triangle
in the winds. Yeah. And then that signature management. I mean, that's intentional that's
interesting. How do they know that?
Detection.
Like, how does the government know that there's detection systems? I mean,
I think it's part of what they have sensors for.
I'm sure they do. I'm curious. Like, is that a ray? Is that
I'm not sure.
How do they?
I'm curious. Cloaking devices, but it's probably not
like,
that.
In my mind, like, is it like a microwave? I don't know. Like, what kind of waves are they detecting? Is it a sound? Is it a light? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I feel like I need to know more about detection devices.
Well, remember when we had a theoretical physicist on our show?
Yes.
So there's
one of the best days of my life.
So there's another theoretical physicist.
Are you going to reach out to them via email and make them think that we're cooler than we are? And then
they
join our show not expecting us?
So this person is called, what's her name?
I love that.
Avi Loeb. He is that's probably not how you pronounce his last name. Maybe Loeb. He is a theoretical physicist that specializes in astrophysics and cosmology.
Let's do this.
He is the director of the Institute for Theory and Computation at the Harvard Smithsonian
Can
Center.
This person please be our friend?
For astrophysics and the author of Extraterrestrial, the first sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. So
we also need to follow up with our other.
His big
time machine
theory is, remember Oumuamua?
No.
It was our interstellar visitor. It was the first interstellar object to ever come through.
I know. I don't remember that. I don't know that. I'm not a terrestrial tracker.
Okay, well, a few years ago,
I have my own cloaking devices, but it works the other way.
Oumuamua, which was detected by a telescope in Hawaii, and Oumuamua is a Hawaiian term for scout or messenger from a distant past. So Avi Loeb, he believes that not only was it an interstellar object that visited us, but that it was actually from intelligent life.
When are you going to reach out to this?
I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to email him and say, do you want to be on our podcast and talk about your book? Because he just came out with it in March, so he may want to promote his book.
Yeah, promote the book.
Yes, so he's obviously a very smart person, believes that Oumuamua was extraterrestrial life and is linked to the UAPs, and that what we really need is to be studying them scientifically, which it sounds like the government now is in line with that too, that we need to set up planes with sensors specifically to gather data.
I mean, to me, I feel like that's why this is only 9 pages, because I feel like they probably do and they're not telling you that. Like, it's almost like there's part of this that's unspoken, but like if they're willing to say, yes, we, you know, all the stuff that you guys have is not sophisticated enough. Like, the part between the lines is that we have that stuff and we're not going to tell you about it. Is that a cat?
That's a cat. I think he wants to come in. You can let him in. It's needy cat, Obi cat. You can let him in.
Cat paws.
Cat paws. Here he comes.
Oh, it's such a whiny meow.
No, I know, he drives me nuts. He's very needy all the time. There's not enough love in the world for Obi cat. So I'll end with a quote from Avi, because he's had to experience that stigma, you know, coming out with these theories that he has, you know, ridicule and whatnot. So he says, we shouldn't rely on popular opinions or avoid considering possibilities, looking objectively at evidence because it is outside of one's comfort zone or there's prejudice around a certain point of view, but use the scientific process.
Yes.
All the possibilities need to be put on the table.
We love science.
And then look at the most likely explanation.
And aliens. Sorry, your cat knocked your microphone into your face.
That cat, he's so... I mean, do you feel how
hard
he presses against your legs?
He's like, love me.
No, it's like aggressive
love me more.
Yeah. So, that's that. That's the new report.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, I know you wanted more, but like maybe the more is in between the
lines. No, there was some good nuggets in there, though.
Why did your cat's paws get stuck on me?
There was some nugs.
There's some nugs.
Yeah.
Some good nugs. I can tell you're happy.
Oh, I like how they acknowledge that stigma is a barrier, and they're trying to break down those barriers.
We knew they weren't going to do more than that. Like, they're not going to...
I like how they acknowledge that, yes, there's stuff that we don't understand that is very advanced and crazy, and that they're going to try to really improve on our reporting system. I mean, I think it needs to be beyond just government entities reporting from our country. I think, why are we not taking citizen reports seriously? Like, let's tie that into an organized reporting system. And then why are we not collaborating with other countries? Because if this is an off-Earth thing that's going on, then this could be something that unites us as the human race, and that we can study it collectively together in a global way.
These countries would rather blow themselves up than never be collective. All right. Until next time.
Oh my God. Hold on. I need to take a drink.
I'll start. Until next time, there is only one uteri.
One uteri? Until next time, you decide what UAP stands for. You put the P in UAP.